Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. The Kenya Kwanza administration and the entire team want us to believe that William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua are so caring that they listened to Kenyans and reduced the proposed 3% housing levy to 1.5%. I have listened to several leaders, those that belong to the Kenya Kwanza group and the Azimio, and even several stakeholders react to William Ruto's latest move. One of the people who took to Twitter after this levy was reduced to 1.5% is Dennis Itumbi. And this is what Dennis was saying. He actually shared a post by someone calling himself Honorable Wakili Edward. Itumbi said, President William Ruto listens. And this guy Wakili said that thanks to His Excellency for listening to Kenyans on the tax bill proposals. Housing levy coming down from 3% to 1.5%. Kenyans are happy. The next battlefront is KPLC power bills. They have doubled. Confront the power purchase agreements head on. This guy believes that William Ruto listened to Kenyans, and because of his love, he decided to reduce this proposed housing levy by half. But there are people who read mischief, and they feel that this government intentionally and literally created some chaos, created a problem. And when push came to shove, they swallowed humble pie. Now they want us to celebrate with them. They want us to imagine that they love Kenyans so much, and this is why they reduced the levy. I want us to look at a post that was done by Roselyne Akombe. It was short, precise, and very clear. Akombe is saying that you create a problem, put band-aid on it, and then ask us to celebrate with you for fixing it. What? That is how she exclaimed. According to Roselyne, she feels directly opposite of the sentiments by Dennis Itumbi, or this guy calling himself Mwalimu Wakili, because she feels that William Ruto created this mess, or he tried forcing the 3% levy on people. And I remember at some point, Rigathi Gachagua told off those who were trying to oppose this bill that the bill was going to pass entirely the way it is, because apparently the opposition does not have the numbers to oppose it. And he told them that it is a dream to imagine that this bill would not pass. And he told them it was going to pass by force because they have the numbers. According to Rigathi Gachagua, he never cared to listen to the concerns of many Kenyans who had raised pertinent questions that needed to be looked at. According to him, as I said earlier, this was a contest between Kenya Kwanza and Azimio. And the fact that they've got the numbers, including the Azimio members who had been compromised. Rigathi Gachagua believed that they were to win just to show the opposition that they have the numbers and they are at the helm of the Kenyan affairs. And this is why Akombe feels that we need not to sympathize with the government. We need not to celebrate, because if anything, there is nothing to celebrate. I remember it did not end there. William Ruto himself, on a church service, read a riot act to the Kenya Kwanza members of parliament, and he said that he wanted to see who would oppose this bill. You see, when a president speaks like that, those sentiments are not taken casually. He meant it. There were allegations that there were members of parliament who had been bought already. They had named their prices. And this is the reason, ladies and gentlemen, why I want to join the sentiments of Roselyne Akombe. Because there is this penchant of creating a problem, then when you appear to solve it, then you want to call on Kenyans and clap for you. I'll give you an example. When there were proposals to start the bipartisan talks, William Ruto's side decided to include Eden Canaan, a member of the Azimio coalition. And he knew very well that the Azimio was going to oppose this move. He his team dragged people like Kimani Chungwa, and they said that you cannot force someone to be in Azimio by force. Then, towards the tail end, it appeared like the talks were about to collapse. Then they agree to remove Eden Canaan. And then they start announcing to Kenyans that they are ready for talks. It is only Azimio that is not serious. And they want to present the fact that they removed Eden Canaan as a show or manifestation that they are now ready to continue with the talks because they have agreed to the terms that Azimio wanted. Yet in the first place, they knew very well why they were including Eden Canaan. They knew that they will drag, this will be a bait, so that they will remove it and it will be seen like, or that they are now accepting demands from the Azimio. Looking at this bill, we knew very well that this bill was very erroneous because it was going to be very injurious to Kenyans. They knew that very well. Were it not for the noises that people made, they would have included it. It is not like they love Kenyans. They realized that apart from all the threats that they were giving, Kenyans are smarter than what they can think. Because already unions, the civil servants unions, had gone to the streets to lament, oppose, and demonstrate against this bill. The other day, youths went to town. They were thwarted by tear gas, but they were celebrating. They were opposing this bill and telling William Ruto that they would have none of it. His PS Hinga was having difficulties in explaining how they were going to take care of the billions of shillings that the civil servants were and all the employees were going to collect. And Kenyans had given their word. They had even warned the members of parliament that they did not want this bill to pass. And so when William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua warned the members of parliament to pass this bill, they put the members of parliament between a rock and a hard place. They were sandwiched between the people who elected them, who had resolved categorically that they did not want this bill to pass. They did not want to pay 3%. And they were torn in between them and the executive that was exercising dictatorship on them, that they must pass this bill. And so they knew very well that the ground was very hot, very slippery. It was not going well. Even the members, some of the leaders, the Kenya Kwanza leaders, people like Kwamuchomba, had mentioned, had told them off that they were not going to support this bill. And so after realizing that this bill is very unpopular, that it was not welcome, the intelligence, because you know, as the president, William Ruto enjoys the ultimate intelligence report. And I know they had gone round mashinani kule, to the village suburbs, to all the towns, to all the cities, and they realized that people did not want this bill. And maybe they knew they were going to be humiliated in parliament, despite the fact that they have the numbers. There are members of parliament who had been given a warning by their constituents, and they were not going to vote. So they feared this humiliation, and they decided to take humble pie. Raila Odinga had indicated that they were going to go back to the streets, and he made it very clear that if William Ruto was going to use the tyranny of numbers and bully his way and pass this bill, because Rigathi had said it anyway, and William Ruto had given a warning, Raila told them that they were going to meet the assembly of Kenyans on the streets. And you had seen that people were very ready. Already, people are yearning to go to the streets. the cost of living is just too high. And then you want to add on top deducting that 3%. And of course, there are other levies on the 15% withholding tax on content creators, and another 16% VAT, I think, on beauty products, and several things. So Kenyans were ready to go to the streets to fight for their rights, because Raila had taken a backseat just to make sure that Kenyans feel the heat, so that by the time he takes people to the street, then they will know exactly why they are going to the streets, to fight for their rights, to force the administration to reduce the cost of living. So ladies and gentlemen, let the government not hoodwink and cheat Kenyans that they have listened and they are now so caring, and that is why they have reduced it. Now the last one is that they had started, I could see this coming, they had started this narrative that this was Raila's good idea. It was Raila who had proposed the housing finance, and he had supported it during the Uhuru regime. And Raila had pegged his deduction, or if he had to ascend to power, he had proposed 1.5%. And this is why they have decided to cap it at 1.5%, so that they can tell Kenyans that we have reduced it by half. And number two, they're going to tell Kenyans that we have reduced it to the level where Raila wanted it. Because according to the administration, the other day, Rigathi Gachagua said that everyone supports this bill except Raila Odinga. And so they have capped it at 1.5%, so that should Raila oppose it, then Raila is going to appear as someone who is very petty. And this is exactly what they're doing. And I'm happy that Kenyans have decided that they don't want to take any rubbish. If Kenyans stand firm, this is how things should go. Because history has shown that you cannot beat millions of citizens who have decided. And this is a good move. We should now force them, as Honorable Wakili says, to reduce the other bit. The cost of unga, the cost of electricity, the cost of education, so that we can go back to where it was. Ladies and gentlemen, the government has been humiliated. They have been forced to reduce it. It is not because of their love. It is not because they listened. It is because they feared the wrath of the people. They feared that they would face humiliation in parliament. They feared that they would be exposed, that the fact that they threatened members of parliament, the fact that they had indicated that it was going to pass by force, it was not going to pass. And I don't know what you think, but that is my take.